Hello everyone, this is Sen from Sen Invests. Today I'll be reviewing TYTAN Finance, a new degen DeFi project which recently had its pre-sale at the end of May. After I review TYTAN Finance, I'll be sharing with you my own recommendations on investing in these type of projects. This is based on my personal experience investing in degen DeFi. Let's get started with TYTAN Finance. First, we can look at the logo. This appears to be an image of the planet Saturn, with the small green dot here being Titan, a moon of Saturn. But this Titan is spelled with an I instead of a Y. Let's learn a little bit more about Titan. So here we can see that Titan with an I is indeed a moon of Saturn. It's also the second largest natural satellite in the solar system. Titan as a word also has a very auspicious meaning. It's a person or thing of very great strength, intellect, or importance. So I believe that by selecting the word Titan with an I, which is homophonous with Titan with an I, this was a very clever marketing move by the TYTAN Finance team. It's also similar in name to TITANO, which is another degen DeFi project. We can see that TYTAN offers auto staking and compounding from the future. Let's get into the white paper to learn a little bit more about this project. So looking at the white paper, which is always a great place to start, we see that TYTAN is a revolutionary rebase token. Its own original code combines elements of a rebase token and share token. We will launch TYTAN along with orbital swap on the same day. Having our DEX solves many issues and lays the groundwork for future growth around TYTAN's original code. Profits from the DEX will be shared with TY share owners and will be sold later in separate sales. These TY shareholders are, in effect, shareholders in orbital swap and have unparalleled power and opportunity. Our goal is to revolutionize and create projects that can generate income. So notwithstanding the talk of original code, which I'm sure there is some original code, TYTAN does appear to be more of a fork of already existing degen DeFi projects such as SAFUU and TITANO. There are some very positive words here in this description, such as revolutionary and also unparalleled power and opportunity. Okay, so these are keywords for investors. The pre-sale has passed, so let's look onto the roadmap. So we see TYTAN has gone live, and there are a lot more exciting features down the road which have yet to be released. Going on to TYTAN token, we see it's an auto compounding token. Specifically, it's 0.04072% every 30 minutes or 48 times a day. So less frequently than SAFUU, but it's still auto rebasing quite frequently. And that works out to be 125,124% APY, or almost 2% daily. TY share, which appears to not have been released as of the time of filming this video, is stakeable on the Orbital SS, which is basically the DEX, which we discussed in the under About TYTAN. You can also learn more about it here under Orbital DEX. So decentralized exchange. Looks like it's going to have its own pre-sale about 2 weeks after TYTAN launches, so we're coming right up on about 2 weeks. So looking for that to have its pre-sale pretty soon. The insurance fund here, or the TIF, is very similar to the SIF in SAFUU. The treasury is also very similar to SAFUU. And the afterburner is really what the fire pit is in SAFUU. There's also auto liquidity engine, another feature which SAFUU has. And then let's get to the really interesting part, which is the tokenomics. So here we can see the buy and sell percentages here actually match SAFUU as well. So comparing the tokenomics here between TYTAN Finance and SAFUU, it looks like the insurance fund is considerably higher in SAFUU, with the treasury and the fire pit being a bit lower. And in TYTAN Finance, we can see that the insurance fund is a bit lower, with the treasury and the afterburner being a bit higher. Competitive advantages here show TITAN compared to TITANO and Libero. So it is interesting to note here that SAFUU isn't listed on the comparison here, and that could be because many of the features of TYTAN Finance already exist in SAFUU. So here, this tells us more about the Orbital SS exchange, which we see here is up and running already. So this discusses orbs, which is the yield token for Orbital SS. So this here is very interesting because it says we understand TYTAN is going to be the standard for rebase tokens going forward, and we want to make sure new TYTAN forks are done right. So this is expressing quite extreme confidence, in my opinion, that TYTAN is going to really set a standard for the rebase tokens going forward. TYTAN has listed its partners here. Here are the contract addresses. And then here are the links to various social media and websites related to TYTAN Finance. So now let's go to the dashboard. We can look at a few key numbers here. We can see the market cap is still pretty low. It's 4.5 million, whereas if we look at SAFUU, SAFUU's market cap is about 34 million. Liquidity and treasury look to be pretty decent. The insurance fund does appear to be a bit low, but remember there is a lower percentage being allocated to that, and the afterburner is sitting at a pretty decent amount, it appears. So if you're interested in buying TYTAN, you're going to need MetaMask or a similar decentralized wallet. It might be a good idea to first look at the chart here, which you can access by clicking on chart. Here we can see that the price came from about 7 cents, went up about 10 cents to 17-ish. I had bought in around 11, and now it's down to about 11, 12 cents. Once you've learned about the price, then you can go to trade and swap. You're going to need some BNB in your MetaMask wallet. So you can see here I have 0.44 in my MetaMask wallet. Let's say I want to buy 0.1. And you can see here if I bought 0.1, I get 244 TYTAN, but actually would be less after the fees are taken. So if this looks good, you can click on swap, and you'd be able to swap your BNB for TYTAN. So now that I've showed you TYTAN Finance, let's go over my recommendations for investing in these type of projects. So let's say that you haven't invested yet, but you're excited, you're looking to invest, so we'll call this stage preparing to invest. One consideration is that you understand the project and the domain, and a good place to start is going over the white paper, like we just did. You might also be interested in learning about the developers of the project, but I will discuss more on this later. And then the domain, of course, which is Degen DeFi. You should understand it's a very high-risk space. So here we see the vast majority of crypto projects fail. And you might wonder, what is my source for that? I'd be happy to show you. So this article is from Deloitte Insights. It is a bit dated, but unfortunately I was not able to find more recent information. It's discussing the evolution of blockchain technology, insights from Github. So I understand there have been a lot of changes in the DeFi space within the past few years, but let's look at the insights this article has to offer. So here, the key finding I'd like to point out is project survival, which shows only 8% of projects are actively maintained. In the IT space, it's very important to consistently maintain a project to deal with security threats and also make continuous improvements. So if 92% of projects are not being maintained, it's probably pretty safe to say that they're not being used by many, if any. And talking about fork projects, earlier I noted TYTAN is a fork. One key point is that only 5% of fork projects survive. Projects have an average lifespan of under 2 years. So the key finding here is there are very few projects with high longevity. A few that I can think of are Bitcoin and Ethereum, which I'm sure we've all heard of. Another key point is the DeFi space lacks regulation of traditional finance. In the traditional finance space, If there's, say, a scam involving banks, there's a good chance that you would be able to recover that money. In the crypto space, there's slim to no chance of recovering money in the case of a scam. Understand that KYC, know your customer, and doxing of project developers is overrated, in my opinion. While it could be seen as a confidence point for investors, there's no guarantee of safety, even if you absolutely know who's behind the project. There's even cases of doxed developers who have multiple failed projects and have gone on to start new projects to sucker in more investors. Legitimate projects also may still have significant risk of failure. So let's say the developers aren't planning to scam anyone, but the project doesn't take off, it doesn't gain enough traction, and so eventually it collapses. So this is a failure, and it may be the fault of the developers, or it may not be the fault of the developers. Let's say that you have analyzed the risk for investing. You've decided to make an investment. So now we come to our second step, which is starting your investment. My advice would be get in early or not at all. This is because many Degen DeFi projects have a Ponzi-like structure. In a Ponzi, this is where the early investors are paid their profits from later investors. Getting in before the peak increases your chance of exiting before the crash of the project. If you're in later, you might just be left holding the bag. Now, I'm sure we've all heard the saying, invest only what you can afford to lose. I've modified that expression a little bit here. I said invest only what you expect to lose. So going into these type of projects, I expect to lose money. I don't view them as legitimate investments. I view them more with fascination, as someone who enjoys watching the markets, as someone who's interested in seeing how investors react to fluctuations in price, but I don't go into these expecting to make millions. So in order to expect to lose money, you'd also have to lose attachment to that money, which is very difficult for many people, including myself. And this has been part of the human condition for thousands of years. It has been said by one of the greatest teachers of all time that where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So we can think about your treasure as being the capital that you put into these investments, and your heart as being maybe, say, your mental focus. What are you thinking about? What are you worried about when you look at the charts every day, multiple times a day, wondering what's going on with your investment? So these behaviors would suggest that you haven't really lost your attachment to that money. Now, if you do get profits, you can take those as a pleasant surprise. When I was a little boy, my dad once said that you should expect nothing. So when you get something, you're going to be happy about it. And I see this absolutely makes sense in the context of Degen DeFi investments. You're not expecting to make any profits, but if you make profits, that's awesome. Let's go on to my next step, which is managing your investment. You've analyzed the investment, you've decided to take the plunge, invest only what you expect to lose, so now it's time to manage that money. So here we have a delicate balance of fear and greed. It's important to have an exit plan. Don't be so greedy that you fail to de-risk from the project. Many of these projects, by design, encourage investors to leave their money in for as long as possible. Maybe investors never take their money out. One way this is accomplished is by paying very high interest. If you take your money out, obviously you're not going to be making that high interest anymore. Another way this is done is through the taxes, which are assessed when you purchase. So when you purchase, you're already down. In the case of Titan, it would be 14%. You're down 14%. And also when you sell. When you sell, you're going to be taking a 16% cut. Regardless of these fees, you still need to have a solid exit plan. Most of these type of projects also have a Discord or Telegram group where there are many investors discussing the project every day. Call that investor sentiment. Now, you might see that some investors are saying, buy, buy, buy. I just heard there's great news about this project. Now, maybe it's an investor that is legitimately excited about the project. Or it could be an investor that's looking to exit the project. They're trying to get more people pumped up about the price. The price of the token will go up, and then that individual can exit. Conversely, you might have people who are spreading FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt about the project. They might be saying, oh, it's crashing, I just heard bad news about the project. And maybe it's someone who is legitimately concerned about losing money, or it could be someone that's looking to make a dip in the price so that they can buy more. Now, that's not to discount the power of whales as well, which can also manipulate the price through various buying and selling tactics. Next, we should follow changes in the project without hopium. Hopium is the irrational hope of perhaps something which is impossible to come true or close to impossible coming true. Now, this may not be the case for TYTAN Finance specifically, because a lot of these variables are hard-coded into the contract, but every project is different. You should be aware of whether fees, withdrawal amounts, and profit percentages can change with time. Now, this is applicable to TYTAN. It is possible for tokens to go to zero or very close to zero. And websites becoming unavailable, I would imagine this is probably more common with the older HIPs. If you'd like to learn more about degen DeFi projects and how they compare to HIPs and Ponzi schemes, I've also done a video on this, which reviews the SAFUU protocol. Now, after watching today's video, you may say, Sen, you're just spreading FUD about projects. You're discouraging investors from making gains of a lifetime. Well, I would say these concerns are based on my own personal experience. Your experience may differ. Feel free to do your own research. I would also come back and say that how dare the developers of these projects expect investors to simply blindly invest with them and not do their own due diligence, and in many cases end up losing money. The history speaks for itself. If you found today's content helpful, please remember to subscribe to my channel, like the video, and leave a comment in the description. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.